If you wander through Nike's sprawling 400-acre headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, you'll find running tracks, soccer pitches, and state-of-the-art research labs. That nowhere on this campus, or anywhere else in the US, will you find a single Nike-owned shoe factory. The world's largest shoe company doesn't actually manufacture shoes. They sell trademarks, they sell designs. Most importantly, they sell stories. But lately, that story has taken a dark turn. This line chart tracks Nike's stock value throughout 2024, and you can see the exact moment panic set in. The company suffered a massive 20% stock drop in a single day, followed by projections of an 11.5% revenue plunge for fall 2025. For the last few years, the brand had retreated from physical retail stores, so when post-pandemic in-person shopping roared back to life, Nike found themselves locked out. They had surrendered vital shelf space to aggressive new competitors. The facade of the Beaverton campus is peaceful, but the reality is an institution bottoming out. In a business that relies entirely on cultivating an image, Nike has lost its own plot. The athletic shoe market isn't shrinking. People are buying trainers more than ever. But look at this pie chart tracking sales at specialty running shops. Two brands, Brooks and Hoka, now dominate, taking up nearly half the market. And sitting at the bottom is Nike, accounting for less than 5% of sales. It gets worse for them. The fashion world has recently embraced Gorpcore, where rugged outdoor gear and trail runners transition into mainstream urban streetwear. Brands like Salomon, originally meant for mountain paths, are now the go-to fashion statement for young creatives in New York City. The unquestioned king of athletic footwear is being outmaneuvered. An array of heavily cushioned, obscure specialty brands have managed to dethrone Nike simply by capturing the everyday consumer. To understand how they fell behind, we have to look at how they originally won. Nike founder Phil Knight built a reliable three-step playbook. Identify a rising cultural movement, find a brash rebel to embody it, and break the rules to innovate the product. In the early 1970s, America was experiencing a massive jogging boom. Nike found their storyteller in Steve Prefontaine. He was a working-class kid from an Oregon logging town, cocky, handsome, and fiercely competitive. They paired his rebel persona with physical engineering. Nike created the waffle trainer, famously pouring rubber into a waffle iron to create a lightweight, grippy sole that gave runners unprecedented comfort. A decade later, they executed the playbook flawlessly in basketball. They gambled on a rookie named Michael Jordan and designed a flashy, colorful shoe that strictly violated the NBA's uniform policy. Nike willingly paid the $5,000 fine every time he stepped on the court, using the controversy to market the shoe as a counterculture icon. That was the formula. Nike secured global dominance by acting as a scrappy disruptor, taking big risks to outsmart legacy giants like Adidas and Converse. But as they grew into an establishment themselves, they abandoned that risk-taking culture. Nike actually helped invent the trail shoe back in 1984, later launching their outdoor line, ACG. They had the early vision for rugged footwear, yet in the 2000s, they let the ACG line wither. By walking away from outdoor innovation, Nike left a massive void. Heavily cushioned, specialized brands like Hoka stepped directly into that space, capturing the lucrative everyday wear market for service workers and casual weekend chores alike. The ultimate failure of foresight happened in 2010. The founder of a Swiss startup pitched Nike a radical new cushioning concept, pieces of garden hose attached to a sole to create cloud tech. Nike passed. That startup became On Running, which is now eating Nike's market share globally. Nike stopped leading the market because they stopped believing in outside-the-box shoe engineering. They allowed their own early inventions to stagnate. It is incredibly difficult to innovate when your entire corporate structure is putting out fires. Throughout the 2010s, Nike spent years stuck in PR defense mode due to widespread athlete scandals, from Tiger Woods to Lance Armstrong. The damage hit inside the campus, too. Alberto Salazar, a coach so revered by Nike he had a building named after him, was banned over doping allegations and accused of abusive conduct. Simultaneously, the company faced a major sexual discrimination lawsuit detailing a toxic boys' club culture. Looking to stabilize, Nike brought in an outside CEO, John Donahoe. His mandate was to aggressively shift the company to a direct-to-consumer model, bypassing physical stores to sell straight to buyers online.
When the pandemic hit, the strategy briefly looked like genius. Online sales boomed. But Nike achieved those numbers by heavily pushing re-releases of old retro hits, while simultaneously souring relationships with the physical shoe wholesalers they used to rely on. They prioritized a data-driven approach to boost immediate digital sales, rather than investing in future-forward engineering. Today, consumers and athletes look at Nike and no longer see a scrappy, rule-breaking winner. They see a bloated, risk-averse institution, perfectly content to sell you the same shoe they sold you 20 years ago. Realizing the danger, Donahoe is out. In his place is new CEO Elliott Hill, a Nike lifer who started as an intern in 1988, brought in to execute an immediate, drastic pivot. Hill's first order of business has been an aggressive apology tour. He has spent months traveling to mend broken relationships with retail wholesalers, desperately trying to reclaim the physical shelf space Nike abandoned. They are also trying to catch up to the Gorpcore trend they missed. Nike is heavily relaunching that forgotten ACG outdoor line, pushing it to center stage by outfitting Team USA in the gear for the 2026 Winter Olympics.
Academic studies consistently show that shoes are tools for identity signaling. People select footwear to cultivate an image and tell a story about who they are. Nike's crisis stems entirely from forgetting its own identity. You can dominate the market for decades, but in an industry built entirely on storytelling, relying purely on your past is the fastest way to lose the future.